Hello everyone. Hello. I'm here. It's Tuesday. Welcome to tonight's stream. We're going to be first taking a look at the end of Sonic Superstars. I beat Fang's story and the true final boss off stream. So I'm just gonna roll the footage, talk over it, say my thoughts, make my piece, and we'll be good. Morgan will never play Pac-Man World 2 live on stage at the Rogers Center in Canada. You're in for a fucking surprise next year. You're in for a fucking surprise. But yeah, we're gonna be starting off with the end of Sonic Superstars, and then we're going to be continuing our Pokemon Emerald randomizer nuzlocke. We've made good progress. We're like 5 badges in. We're on our way to Winona. We did most of the water routes that you would want to do at that point. I didn't do all the variations of, like, the trick house that opened up, but I feel like if we're at a point where we actually need to do all that, like, we're probably just fucked and we need to reset. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, this boss is actually so easy, I did it first try, baby. I hope you're all doing well. I was playing Sonic while my niece and nephew were over. So, that's part of the reason why this has no commentary. Cause you didn't need to pick up on, like, baby noises and, like, my niece watching, like, Scooby-Doo. And also, it's one of those things where, like, the Fang final boss is very hard. Which I like. I'm gonna say it straight up. I like that it's hard as fuck. But I can see why people don't like that. I think, like, if you think about it as something that you have to do to get, like, the true ending that you actually want, then, like, yeah, it's, like, fucking bizarre that they have that as, like, a huge-ass obstacle in the way. But I don't know, it felt like a real, like, test of skill. I was having fun with it. It took me a while, though. I mean, I'm only gonna show you the attempt that won, but there is, like, a whole nother hour of attempts that I did off-stream. It was crazy. This is not an easy fight. By the way, thank you, Lily, for the resub, 5 months. Thank you. Why don't we start with that? Why don't we just get right into that? Also, thank you, Adrian, for the resub, 26 months. Welcome. You more so found it a test of patience than skill, but you're glad I beat it and enjoyed it. I don't know. I like doing, like, super hard bullshit in games sometimes. Like, this reminded me of, like, 2 other occasions like this on stream, where a boss was so hard, but, like, so fun, that I started doing attempts off stream. Both in the means of, like, saving time on stream when I got back to the game. And, like, me having enough fun that I wanted to keep doing it. The other 2 times that similar things happened was Chef Saltbaker and Cuphead, and, the Ganon fight in Breath of the Wild when I was doing that without doing most of the game. I had some wacky shit happen to me, though, on some of the runs that I had of this boss, which I don't actually remember if in this successful attempt any of the wacky bullshit happened, but if I'm gonna complain about anything, I'm gonna complain about this shit. So when he's doing the attack where he, like, dives down and, you know, he can take a couple platforms with him while he's in, like, this, like, floaty jet fucking thing, sometimes, like, you just, like, phase through the vehicle. Like, you just, like, literally, like, you don't take damage from him, and he doesn't get rid of the platform anymore, but it's like, it's basically like an entire waste of an attack cycle. Also, like, this is the most consistent strat I found, is to use the clone technique here for the first hit of his second phase. I found that, like, in general, the clone technique was the most consistent way to hit him. I think, in general, this first phase is not so bad once you learn, like, the proper technique to it. Which, granted, takes a long fucking time. But, I mean, really, if you, like, save up your, like, emerald powers, which you should be. I don't even imagine most people care about the emerald powers, but, like, if you use the fire one here, I feel like the fire one is very good as well. You can kind of, like, use the fireball to get right above him and then, like, hit him through whatever gap you create. I found that to be a very consistent method of getting through his first phase. I think, like, probably, like, 80% of the runs I had got past the first phase. At least the attempts that I was doing off-stream, anyways. The second phase is where it gets crazy, because this really is like a war of attrition, you know? You have to be careful during Webb's phase. Because it does have the insta-kill. I do feel like when you know what you're doing, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it is annoying to have to deal with the insta-kill. So basically, like, you gotta play the Webb's game at your best. Otherwise, little Beepo's misery will increase. Because you do not want to have to mash the button through the webs. I've just found that, like, the best thing to do during Webb's phase, don't get caught in the web. Because, like, having to mash the button, like, wastes so much time. And, like, there's a good chance by the time you get out of it. Like, okay, that was some bullshit. Did you see how the fucking beetles just, like, phase through the floor? Why does that happen? That's another thing that just, like, randomly happens. Sometimes this is the complaint I have about this boss, is that sometimes this boss, like, breaks under the weight of the video game being played normally. Sometimes this boss just can't process that you would be playing it. Yeah, the rings, too. And this was also a problem with the regular final boss. If I'm remembering correctly, the regular final boss had the same problem, but just primarily with the rings. You know, it wouldn't be, like, enemy projectiles and stuff, but, like, the rings, like, those bitches, sometimes they would just decide to go through the floor. Honestly, I'm gonna say it, I think this is the best out of the 3 final bosses. Like, it's hard as fuck, but it was the most fun I had. I don't know, it definitely felt like maybe it was partially, like, just bad RNG with, like, the first final boss of this game, where, like, it feels like every time I would get hit in that fight, like, my rings would find a way to phase through the floor. Because being able to conserve your ring count really is important, especially when he's doing the bombs attack. I feel like if you have no rings for the bomb attack, like, you have to play so fucking perfectly. And I don't know how many people have it in them to play perfectly during that phase. I sure as shit don't. Like, during this beetle attack, it's not too hard to, like, get a hit on him. But during the bomb attack, like, I feel like you always gotta play with your iframes a little bit. You know? Yeah, you can see me readying the clone technique. When you go through the phases, you get your emerald powers back, which is very good to know. I mean, I only used the clone technique on this successful attempt, so I could not tell you, like, realistically, if the other power-ups are good. I would imagine Fireball is pretty good for his one attack. This one. This attack kind of sucks. I think that the best chance you have at success is to only have to go through that attack once, to be honest. That's another complaint I have about this boss, is that I think that attack is a little much. Like, especially because it happens right at the end, too. So, like, that is just, like, the worst thing that you could get killed by, because you're thinking, like, fuck, I got, like, 8 hits on him, I only needed the 1 more! But yeah, there you go. They really took people saying Frontiers was easy to heart. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, honestly, like, Superstars in general is probably one of the harder Sonic games we've had in years. Like, just from the base game, I think Sonic Superstars is, like, the hardest Sonic game we've had in a long time. I don't know what else it would be. But yeah, you can see Eggman's base blowing up. Someone at Sega was mad about that. This is why I never, like, tell developers, like, oh, the game's too easy. I don't believe in a game being too easy. I believe in a game being boring. I feel like you can have an easy game that's still exciting. I feel like that's why I like Kirby. I feel like Kirby games are extremely easy video games. There is, like, very few Kirby games that are, like, genuinely difficult. But they're, like, fun. So it doesn't really matter that they're kind of piss easy. And also, to be fair, a lot of Kirby games do have bonus stuff that ramps up the difficulty. But I digress. Hardest Sonic game is Sonic Spinball because it requires you playing Sonic Spinball. True. Overall, though, I wrote up some thoughts on my Tumblr about Trip's story in general. I think it is okay. I like the tools that Trip has, and since Chaos Emeralds aren't that hard to get in this game, it was very easy to just have Super Trip the whole time to cheese things. Because, like, the level design is very obviously harder, it's got, like, dumb bottomless pits and stuff, but... And, like, I can see why people say it's, like, Dimp's level design, because it kinda is. But here's the thing. It's not like a Dimps game, because you can actually get the fucking Chaos Emeralds reasonably. Well, you can do that in Sonic Rush, but not the fucking advanced games. Getting the Chaos Emeralds in the advanced games is a fucking test of patience. But yeah, a lot of the more bullshit stuff that you would face in this story is pretty easy to cheese, just because you have the super form at your disposal, most likely. If you don't, then, like, ooh... I think this is gonna be a tougher sell. I definitely feel like this is the kind of thing where you wanna have that super form right away. And Trip's a lot of fun. I think Trip is a really fun character addition. She's, like, weirdly in easy mode, but also not. Because there are a few things about Trip that, if you'll excuse the pun, trip me up. I think the fact that when you do the double jump, like, if you hit into a wall or, like, a ceiling, you'll just start sticking to it. That can be, like, a little disorienting. You don't have, like, the easy fly maneuvers of Tails, and you do have to play Tails' stage, so you can see how much you fucking miss that flying ability. She makes platforming a bit easier, but it's with a kit that allows for really fluid and fast movement. Yeah. It's super cool. She's a fun character. I don't really see the point in playing as the other characters in this game, because, like, Sonic has the drop dash, and the drop dash is the most fun tool ever. But Trip, I could actually see myself playing as Trip more, because the way her double jump works is, like, very fun. I think, like, Amy has a double jump too, but Amy doesn't feel like she can get the same, like, rhythm going that Trip can. IMO. But she's a lot of fun. I think she's a great addition to the Sonic cast. I like that she's a big dragon when she's super. Double jumps are inherently really broken, but they're so fucking fun and let you do shit really very fluidly and fun. Yeah. Especially in a game like Sonic, that's all about the speed. Like, it's a fun tool to have. Like, what is faster than jumping again? You will have fun with this game when you stop being mad and stick to time trial mode. The levels are good and the characters are fun to play as. Mm-hmm. I think, like, honestly, my thing with this game is that it's, like... It is good. I like it. You know what? Despite everything, I like this game a lot. It has its problems. Lord knows it has its problems. But I think it's quite fun. I gotta be honest, this is like a banger for me. I can see why other people would have issue with it, but for me personally, I think it's a great time. Could've used with shorter bosses though, lord. Heard the latter half gets a little shaky, and honestly, you think at worst it's gonna be a pretty alright game, but that's still a good time. Mm-hmm. I mean... I'm also gonna flex a little bit. I just think I'm good as fuck at this game. I'm gonna flex a little bit, okay? My Steam hours for this game are 14 hours, but that's a trick, because I did one full playthrough on my own off-stream. So actually my hours for the original story, Trip's story, and then the true final boss is like 10 hours. Alright? I think that you guys may have seen a lot of people play Sonic Superstars. I may be one of the best. I might be kind of goated at this game. I like to think that 10 hours for all 3 stories is a good fucking time. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe that time sucks. But I like to think that I'm pretty good at Sonic Superstars. I could be the best to ever do it. That's not true. I'll never be as good as, like, the crazy speedruns that are probably gonna come out of this game. But I could still be pretty good. Listen, all I'm saying is that a lot of the people who, like, talk about, like, Trip's story... Well, they're both are right. Both are right. Summoning Salt is gonna clip that. I think that if this looks like the kind of... If you're, like, a big classic Sonic fan, I think you will get a lot out of this. I think, like, my enjoyment of this game, and the fact that I'm, like, decent at it as a result, is because I like the classic Sonic games. I do. I think classic Sonic is great. I think all the classic Sonic games are good. 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles, CD... Like, those are all, like, great games. And I feel like this captures a lot of the same appeal. IMO. It's got its problems, including unique problems, like the bosses being too fucking long, but, I definitely feel like the people that this game does not resonate with as much are people who are bigger 3D Sonic fans. And granted, I love 3D Sonic. But it's not the only kind of Sonic that I'm, like, super into. Like, I'm not the kind of person who, the only 2D Sonic game I can truly get into is Mania, which, Mania is a great fucking game. It's, like, definitely better than this game, but it's, like, also unfair because it's fucking Mania. Mania is, like, just straight up, like, one of the best games they ever made. Yeah, this is way better than Sonic 4. Anybody who says this is like a Sonic 4 type game, like, fundamentally does not understand why Sonic 4 sucks balls. I refuse to engage in a conversation with anyone who thinks that this game is just Sonic 4, Episode 3 or whatever. You did not play that shit. Alright, I played Sonic 4. I remember. So you don't have to. Really gotta play more Superstars because you didn't get that far in. You just got distracted playing Mario Wonder and writing Yuri. I mean, to be fair, those are two better activities than playing Sonic Superstars. Sonic 4 really is, like, straight ass. And I don't believe anybody who says, like, oh, but Episode 2 is better. They both suck. Sonic 4, Episode 1 and 2 are straight dog water. They're, like, completely joyless video games. I hate them! But yeah, while I enjoy Trip's story, and I even enjoy Fang, even though his boss fight is hard as shit, there is one last story. And it is a story that I could not give less of a fuck about. They got a true final story in this. They do. And it's, well... Remember it about 2 or 3 years ago, you booted up Sonic 4 Episode 1 on a whim, played for 30 minutes, and got so frustrated you just closed it and sat and contemplated how you defended the game for so long when you were 12? I mean, when you're 12, you have to represent Sonic. You don't have the hater gene in you yet. You have to be like, it's Sonic, it's dope. He's the coolest guy ever. But yeah, this is the last story, and first of all, why is this happening? Where did this come from? Why is there a big fucked up dragon? Who is this guy? There is no build-up to this guy in any point in this game that I'm aware of. I'm, like, so fucking confused why there's, like, a big fucked up dragon. Also, like, someone pointed this out in a YouTube comment section. He kind of does look like a Balan Wonderworld boss fight. Which, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world for you to look like, but... Yeah, no, Eggman is not the true final boss. I mean, he's the final boss in the regular story, but after that, Eggman disappears from the plot. No, it's just you just fight a big fuck you dragon. And, like, this boss fight is boring as shit. And it's so long, too. Like, you see this fight, and you, like, I want you guys to take a guess from watching the beginning of this footage. How many minutes do you think that it takes me to beat this dragon while I'm basically playing at the best that I can? Like, people talk about the bosses in this game being too damn long. This dragon is way too long. Also, this boss does have an insta-kill move. It's the black hole. If you do not dash out of the black hole, it will kill you. This is ultimately why you just quit on Fang. You knew this awaited. It really is just like a boring-ass boss fight. It really is just like a boring-ass boss fight. 6 or 7? Nope. Longer than that. It is longer than that. You have not fought this boss yet, but this seems fucking miserable. Longer than 5 minutes? A lot longer than 5 minutes. It's rough. It is rough. And you know what the worst thing is about this boss fight being, like, so dragged out? Is that this boss fight is so fucking boring that I have nothing interesting to say about it. I have heard people complain, like, oh, this, like, it's, like, random if you get enough rings to beat the boss. Like, not really. If you're, like, good about, like, following your friends when they show up on screen, you will have more than enough rings to make it through this fight. I don't really think this is, like, an RNG-reliant boss, like, you need, like, really good ring RNG. You just need to follow your friends, because they appear quite often, to be honest. It's random if you get enough rings, because the boss comes out of fucking nowhere randomly. This is true. This is very true. But yeah, listen. If you guys already did not like the Fang boss fight, don't even bother, like, going for this final boss. Like, genuinely, if you did not like the Fang fight, don't even bother going for this boss. It's easier, it did not take me nearly as much amount of time. It took me, like, 30 minutes through a few attempts. And it wasn't 30 minutes because it took me that many attempts. It's just a really fucking long fight. It's just a really stupidly long fight. Yeah, like, all the other classic Sonic games, all their final bosses are, like, built up. You know, Sonic 1, the final boss is Eggman, because obviously. Sonic 2, it's the big Death Egg robot. Oh, hold on. Sorry, the phone rang. I mean, pretty much all the classic Sonic final bosses are, like, Eggman. And, like, that makes sense, because Eggman is the main villain of the classic Sonic games, you know? It adds up why you're fucking fighting him. So many of these attacks are just actual time wasters. It's, like, literally, like, it wastes so much of your time, but you get, like, so many rings while you're fighting him. Like, look, I have 90 rings. It's gonna take fucking forever for me to run out of rings and for him to kill me. Which, by the way, during his second phase, he doesn't have an instant kill move anymore. So actually, at this point, the only way to die is to run out of rings. So, technically speaking, if you don't know what to do with the black holes, the first phase is actually harder, because it's the only phase that has an insta-kill move. Again, you can just dash out of the fucking black holes, you just press A and get out of there, but you might not know that the first time around. I don't think I knew. I had to, like... This was one of those things where, like, very early on, I literally just looked up a walkthrough for this fight, because I was like, this fight looks like dog shit. I didn't even want to bother. I would have to think what my favorite Supersonic fight is. I mean, Doomsday Zone is quite good. In terms of, like, yeah, Doomsday Zone is really good. Although, I am a sucker for Perfect Chaos. It is a little bit of a fucked up fight, but I'm a fan of Perfect Chaos in Adventure 1. I actually do like the Sonic Hero Supersonic fight. I don't think I like it more than Doomsday Zone, though. I mean, part of it is just that I fucking love what I'm made of. But I think that fight is fun. At least when you know what you're doing. Final Hazard is okay. Final Hazard has always been, like, okay to me. I mean, it's cool, it's hype, but it's okay. It's okay. But where are you guys ranking Solaris? What's everybody's ranking on Solaris? Oh, I don't even remember Sonic Rushes. It's been fucking years. Any boss will seem amazing with Live and Learn playing, and you're playing as Super Shadow and Super Sonic, literally. It's hard to beat. Also, look at this shit. I have over 100 rings. It would take over a minute for me to die at this point. But you and like... None of this guy's attacks even, like, drain rings from you. It literally just, like, knocks you back a little bit. So, like, there's no real threat a lot of the times when you're, like, the fucking circle attack that he does where you have to get through the circle, it barely means a fucking thing. The only reason that you would want to dodge is if one of your friends was on screen and you didn't want to get pushed away from them. That's literally it. Like, the claw attack doesn't matter. None of this matters. Why are they doing a supersonic fight where you're, like, basically invincible, but also you can't hit the boss, like, 99% of the time? What were they cooking? We are 8 minutes into this boss fight, dude. It's not even a Super Meat Boy boss fight, because a Super Meat Boy boss fight would have fucking, like, mercifully ended at this point. It keeps going. It's fucking crazy. A dragon shouldn't make that damage noise. I gotta be honest, I can't hear the game audio right now. It's coming through the media source 2. So I'm gonna take your word for it. Because I was, like, so tuned out in this, like, fight, because it's so fucking boring. And you know what's funny? When I get to this exact point, I am, like, you can, like, see, I am fucking confused. I don't know what the fuck to do. I just keep getting hit by meteors, so I pause, and I look up a guide. This pause is me opening my phone to look up a guide for this specific attack, because I'm like, what the fuck do I do here? I'm not gonna lose this fight now when I've been playing for 9.5 minutes. Because there's no way to know. There's no way to know. But I'm gonna tell you, here's what you're supposed to do. Here's what you're supposed to do. While we're waiting for Morgan to unpause, past Morgan to unpause. So that marker that goes around, you're supposed to wait to press the dash button at the exact point where, like, the 3 ring thing, like, pierces the circle. Like, you want it to be spot on with the target. And don't hold down the button. If you hold down the button even a little bit, you will fuck it up, and the second meteor that comes out will just, like, make you get knocked back. And then you'll have to redo it all over again. You have to do this with 5 meteors before you get to his last attack. How would you know to do that? There's, like, no other point in the game where you have this targeting system. How the fuck would you know to do that, dude? It's fucking crazy. And, like, I'm still paused because I'm watching the footage. Like, the first video that I look up is just, like, a straight playthrough, no commentary of this final boss. I'm just watching it, and I'm, like, trying to figure out, okay, how did they do that, though? Because I have no idea. I think what my assumption is, and what you might see me do, is that I assume you just keep holding the dash button. Because I'm an idiot. Oh, no, that's not true. This boss is the thing that's idiotic. You know what? Your friends still spawn during this, so you still get plenty of time. By the way, this also means that even if I knew right away what to do with these meteors, this boss fight would still take me like 10 minutes. This is at least a 10-minute long final boss. Like, what the fuck, dude? But yeah, you gotta wait for the circle to be blue. Actually, I played that pretty smooth. Oh, I think I know what I did. I think I had to pause again to look up a walkthrough for how to get the final hit. Because I didn't realize. I didn't realize that it was the same shit as the meteor. It really is like Balan's Bout. You're so right. And Balan's Bout was like the worst part of that game. It was like some shit you didn't even have to do. This really is an RZest production. But like, look at the fucking timer! That timer is red because of how long it's taken. Okay, I guess I didn't pause a second time. Can you imagine if Sonic games still killed you at the 10-minute mark? This boss would go from, like, boring and easy to, like, fucking impossible. That's what would happen. This boss would go from boring as shit to, like, the most infuriating fucking thing you would ever have to do in your life. Genuinely, how did they make this boss at the 10-minute mark and they didn't go, hey, wait a second. Ugh. How come they didn't invite Knuckles? But if it's long, it's epic. And then, like, I didn't even do the end credits again. We didn't need to... We don't need to see the end credits again. Anyways, that boss fucking sucks. Why is there a QuickTime event with no prompt or communication that it's a QuickTime event? I don't know. I don't know. Basically, listen. If you played Trip's story and you got, like, stun-locked by Fang and you're like, man, I want to see the end of this game. But I don't, like, is it even worth it? Not really. Listen. Fang is, like, fun if you have, like, a specific mindset. If you're like me, and you enjoy these, like, ridiculously brutal, like, tests of skill, then, like, I think you can get some enjoyment from that. I don't know who the fuck is having fun with the true final boss. It's boring. It's dumb. It's kind of piss easy, to be honest. Like, really, the hardest part is just figuring out what the fuck you're supposed to do. Because once you know what the fuck you're supposed to do, it's like you can't die. It's so easy to just build up your ring count forever. It took me 11 minutes to beat that boss. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, Sonic Superstars is a video game. It's a video game that I enjoy. It is a video game with many, many problems. If classic Sonic is your thing, you'll probably get something out of it. If you're a bigger fan of the 3D games, you know, some of the older games feel like a little archaic to you, then I would say pass. This is not going to be a mania for you. It was, like, Sonic Superstars had a lot to live up to when it came to being a follow-up to Mania. And, like, you could say on that merit, it doesn't really live up to it, but I'm glad that we got, like, a classic Sonic game that's this good in the modern day. See, everybody says it's a test of patience, but I'm like a very impatient person. I just like when things are fucked up. I don't even know if I'd say the Fang fight has poor communication. I mean, the dragon fight, definitely. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to be contrary again. Maybe I'm trying to be the contrarian because I enjoyed the Fang boss fights. See, I don't know. I did not have that experience with Sonic Superstars or Trip's story. Yeah, the ground slam, but other than that, even the ground slam, like, I figured out that the way it's telegraphed is kind of through, like, when the stage stops rotating. Which, granted, is a fucked up thing to remember, but I don't know, listen. It's gonna take a lot for anybody to convince me that the Fang fight is not fun as fuck. I'm sorry. I played that shit for 2 hours. It was a fucking fantastic 2 hours. I'm sorry, everyone. I let you guys down by not thinking Sonic Superstars is bad. I'm sorry. We'll play a bad video game. Hold on. What bad video games do I have? Yeah, let's play, let's play Ghoul Patrol. I don't like Ghoul Patrol. You feel like this is the only classic-style game you're not clicking with, and you're blaming the design on this because Arzest doesn't get why people like classic Sonic? I don't know. I think, like, other than the boss designs, it feels, like, very much like classic Sonic to me. It feels like it recaptures that same, like, raw appeal. It really just is that, like, they kinda, they fumbled the ball on the bosses. I don't know. I have problems with all the classic Sonic games, to be fair. I don't know. That's my honest feelings. I mean, they are, to be fair. I kind of just don't like the bosses in most Sonic games, though. Can I be real? I don't like the bosses in most Sonic games. So, like, it's not, like, it is a big part, but it's also not a part that, like, bothers me specifically. Because I'm just like, yeah, that's a problem I have with, like, almost every fucking Sonic game. See, I don't know. I like the level design a lot. I think there's a lot of, like, really good and fun levels. And I think there is a lot of good music, too. It's just whenever it tries to sound like Genesis, it sounds like ass. I don't know. I think you guys are going to have to understand that you are not going to convince me that Sonic Superstars is bad. I like this game. I enjoyed it. I even enjoyed the parts that were kind of hard. But I had a good time. And I understand that my experiences are not universal. But I like to share video games on stream if I think they are good. And that is why I do what I do. I like to share video games because I think they're fun. Have I considered that Sonic was never good? Oh, fuck, you're right. Wait, actually, Sonic sucks balls, so I don't even... You know what? You know what? Fuck this shit. Sonic... bad. Uninstall. And, you know what? Negative review. Nope. Poster review. Alright? I had to make a stand. I had to make a statement. Sign it as Mix IGN. Oh wait, I did the wrong Dr. Phil. That was the end screen. We're not done with the stream tonight. I don't know. I will say that I think the complaints with Sonic Superstars are completely valid. I'm not here to try and convince you that Sonic Superstars is actually an amazing game. I just think it is a good game that I enjoy a lot. I think it has a lot good to offer. I do think it also has a lot of problems, which, to be honest, is something I can say about a lot of Sonic games. But I hope you enjoyed my playthrough of Sonic Superstars. I hope you got something out of it. Maybe you got a new perspective into my fucked up world. We're gonna switch over to Pokemon Emerald now. Damn, that footage was really almost like an hour long. It was like 40 minutes, which is still a long time. But yeah, we're gonna switch over to Pokemon.